and welcome to Quarantine Art Chats. Today we're chatting with Melbourne-based photographer Alex Motta. I first saw his work about 5 years ago and soon realised we had mutual friends. While finishing my career in medical and moving into the art sector, Alex was a huge support in helping me decide which of my creative passions to pursue. Alex is leading the wedding industry in his field, and his work has been featured time and time again by platforms such as Hello May Mag, Together Journal, Ivory Tribe, Polka Dot Bride, Nuba, and more. Alex's work is to be deeply admired for capturing both stunningly beautiful images and truly natural moments. So thanks for joining us, Alex. It's lovely to have you on board.
What an introduction. Wow.
I didn't want to understate you though.
No,
it's amazing.
Thank you. It's very kind.
So firstly, how is you and your family? Are you all safe and well? And
yeah, especially I think the last week or so, spirits have definitely been lifted now that we've had a few restrictions have been eased.
Yeah.
But in general, look, we've been pretty well. We're very fortunate. Like, we've got plenty of space where we are, so we haven't felt like we've just been like locked in the house and have nowhere to escape.
That's good.
We're sort of used to working from home and being home.
Yeah.
So things haven't changed too much. Just like, we're very social though. We love going out, and so that's been a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah,
big change. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about life for people in Melbourne, and when I lived there, I used to live in this lovely little studio apartment right in the middle of South Yarra, and it was a real indoor-outdoor living, but I can't imagine what that would be like on lockdown, like having to stay inside this tiny little one-room apartment. So I imagine for a lot of Melburnians it'll be quite a struggle. Yeah,
well, especially like I've got some friends and family in Italy, and I really feel for them. They've got their tiny apartments and just being home, and there, like, obviously it was a lot stricter. They even had to have a permit just to leave the house, just to get groceries, even to exercise. It was just for a limited time. Well, for us, we were pretty relaxed. Obviously, we took it seriously, but yeah, even like in the last 2 weeks, we've been exercising with friends, and that's been a nice little way to have a bit of normality and a bit of socialising, obviously keeping social distancing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been nice to have that sense of freedom compared to how other people have had it. So
we were really fortunate. Like, we have lovely beaches here in WA, and we didn't have any beach closures or anything like that. So even though we were sort of on lockdown, we could still go to the beach, take the dog for a walk and all that sort of stuff. There wasn't, just don't have the population here for that to sort of be put in place. But I imagine like eastern states would be quite a different situation. You guys would have had to have quite a different transition, I think.
Yeah, it's weird, like seeing I went for a bike ride into the city, and it was just dead. Just seeing it as a ghost town was so weird. Even just commuting from one place to the other, and just how quiet the streets were.
I've never seen Melbourne quiet, not even in the middle of the night. I've never seen it quiet.
Yeah, but we've definitely noticed the difference now that restrictions are eased. It definitely feels like things are getting back to normal, and there's definitely more traffic on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so for those who might not be familiar with your work, can you just give us a little rundown on what your business looks like?
So my company, well, it's not a company, it's just me. It's called Motta Weddings. And it's mainly wedding photography. I do a little bit of family, a little bit of commercial work, but the reason I rebranded from Alex Motta Photography to Motta Weddings was to just specialise in the wedding genre. I've been shooting for like 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And it's been good. It's lovely having your own business and just being able to refine it and tweak it whichever way you want.
Yeah.
And just being able to have the creative control to offer a service that you want, offer a product that you want, and work your own hours. I think, for me, it's not just about the creative part, it's the business part. To me, is equally as important, and that's the part that I'm equally as passionate about. Just having that, just that creative control of being able to shape it whichever way I want. But yeah, my business is mainly wedding photography.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, isn't it, having a creative business, because it's very different than, say, I don't know, working in the food industry where there's lots of regulations, or creating an actual product that needs to go on shelves and would also need to meet specifications and other people's deadlines. Having a creative business, like, it's part of an expression, but you can make your business whatever you want it to be. Like, the actual business side is also part creative. It's quite interesting. It's quite unique.
Yeah. And I think the more I've been doing this, the more I realize that it's not so much the photography aspect becomes less and less, and the service aspect becomes more and more. And just realizing the importance of just having good relationship with clients and just trying to refine that approach from, you know, receiving the initial inquiry to meeting with couples to their experience on the day and then their experience after the day. Like a perfect example, I think maybe a few years back, like once a job was done, I'd put everything on a USB, post it out, and that's it. Sort of just never see them again. But now, like, you know, even through social media or emails, I still keep in touch with couples from weddings that I've shot years ago. And only now I'm sort of, it's been a little bit, but I've sort of get in that transition where, you know, these couples become families, and then I go back there and photograph their family, and it just you really become part of their life. And I like that. I'd rather just maybe be shooting a little bit less and just dedicating a little bit more heart to each client and making a more personalized experience.
Yeah.
And it becomes less about the photography and the product itself.
Yeah.
I
like that. It's really nice to have that communication with your clients, and sometimes repeat clients. It's really nice. It's really different.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to understand that, because you think for a wedding, like, you're not really going to have repeat business. Like, once you hope that people only get married once.
Usually.
But yeah, and even people are like, oh yeah, but people have families, but that aspect, it's not even so much about that. It's more just keeping in touch and just being part of their lives. Just sharing a text every now and again, and it goes such a long way, because word of mouth is like the number one. Like, it's the best form of advertising. Even the clients that I got off the meeting with just before, same sort of thing. Like, they found me on like Instagram and different blogs, but also through a friend. And that recommendation goes such a long way. And perhaps they wouldn't have mentioned me if it wasn't for still keeping in touch with them and being part of their lives. And now with social media, like, it doesn't take too much. It's just a quick message here and there, and, you know, just maybe reacting to one of their posts, and it's nice. It's just nice to see what people are doing. So
that's lovely. Okay, so prior to sort of COVID-19 hitting Australia, what did sort of your daily routine look like?
I'm pretty regimented with my routine. I feel like since COVID, that's all gone out the window, and now it's become very loose. But I have like set work days. Emails is every day, because I think emails are pretty important. You don't want to have an inquiry just sitting there. So most mornings I get up, usually do a little bit of reading, have a cup of tea. I try to get up before my daughter and wife get up. So usually that's like 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's a bit of quiet time. And then, usually emails. But work days were usually Monday, Wednesday. Gosh, it's been so long I forgot. And they usually consist of a little bit of admin tasks. I just checking over a little bit of editing. Just mainly administration tasks. And then one night, Monday, Wednesdays are usually client meeting nights as well. So usually that'd be pretty busy days. And then, confirming run sheets for the weekend. That was it. And then Saturday is usually the main work day, where I'm shooting, sometimes Friday. I try not to book weddings on a Sunday. I keep that to myself. It does happen on the very, very rare occasion, but mainly Saturday. And then Sunday morning I'd get up and do like a few sneak peeks for the couple, so at least they've got some images. And I think that's become a really important part of my routine, because everyone's on like this high after their wedding day, and they're so excited to see photos. And the first thing that all their guests and the couple are going to do is maybe share photos from the day. And I sort of want to get in there nice and quick, and to be able for the couple to share professional photos. And also, because there's so many different vendors involved in the day, it's so nice for them to see some results from something that's happened just so recently.
Yeah.
And I always find that I get really good traction, like, the Sunday morning when I make a post or like a bit of an Insta story, because, like everyone from the bridal party and guests all of a sudden is sort of, oh, wow, like someone's posting photo, almost not live, but, pretty recent photos from what's just happened. It's funny with this sort of business, there's heaps of little tasks that happen, which sort of take a little bit of time, but it's,
what we discussed when I was thinking I might want to do photography, maybe I don't know, because I've worked in the wedding industry before, but I was doing floristry, and it wasn't my thing. I had a business in Melbourne, a floral studio, and I stopped because I didn't love it, and I was hating it because I having to get up at 2:00 in the morning and not loving what I was doing. So I stopped and I took a break. I think about 5 years. I just really had to think about what I wanted to be doing. And then that's when I had a chat to you about what's it actually like in the photography industry, and all those little things that you were mentioning. It was just things I'd never thought needed to be done. Sort of my vision was like, you take some nice photos, you edit some, you send them off, and you're done.
I think the photography, actually taking photos, is like 10%. It is so small. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's so true. Like, unless you love it, it all feels like work. Well, for me, it doesn't feel like work. And it doesn't, like, so many people ask me, like, what do you do all day? Like, surely you always got free time. And that's because I manage my time well. But if I was to like log everything that I did, whether it's an email here or wrapping up this job or sending prints to the lab or checking over this and uploading, like, my week would be so full, but it doesn't feel like that. Like, even meeting clients, it was like every night I'd be like, every Monday, Wednesday, I'd be meeting clients, and there's like an hour for each client. Sometimes it'd be back-to-back meetings. I think if you don't love it, it'd feel like, wow, there's a lot in this. But if you love it, it's nothing.
My favourite paintings I've done recently was done within 4 hours per night over 2 weeks, in the middle of the night, between about 11 and 3 in the morning, and I just couldn't produce during the day. I just couldn't do it. So I would love to have a routine, but I don't think it's possible. I'm not disciplined enough anyway. So
it's hard. It's hard when it's like, I need to do this, and you need to be on and do it. Sometimes it's a little bit like that, like, especially when you're shooting. I think that's, thankfully for me, like, I'm a pretty I don't know, I guess energetic person, and like I'm a good self-motivator. But there are very rare occasions where, come Saturday and you have to shoot a wedding and you're like, man, I am just not feeling it today. I just, just want to just relax. But you got to bring it.
How do you get past those barriers? Because obviously for me it's a little bit different. It's very rare that I'm in a situation where someone needs a mural done by a certain date or a painting by a certain date. Most of my work, it's sort of like it gets done when it gets done. And in Perth, we have a very slow pace of life anyway. So how do you sort of overcome those barriers, like on a day when you've got a big wedding, you've got to shoot, and you just can't get the vibe happening, you just can't feel into it?
I think it depends on the individual. Like, thankfully for me, I sort of bounce off other people's energy, and usually, well, almost all the time you get to a wedding and everyone's, excited, and there's all this, nerves and all that sort of stuff. So as soon as you get there, and I think once you sort of switch on, and I think once you do it for long enough, I can still always get a little bit nervous before a wedding day, but every day's got a similar sort of routine and structure. And when you do it week in, week out, you sort of just know what you're doing. I think it's harder when it just becomes a long period of time, and then you're shooting and you're like, oh wow, I haven't picked up my camera for like a couple of months. How do you do this again? But thankfully, like, the work's pretty consistent enough where you're sort of there and you're just in the swing of things. And I think you get, like, it's a beautiful job because you get inspired, because most of the time you're at different locations. As much as there are times where I'm shooting at the same venue more than once during the year, I love the idea of not pigeonholing myself, of just shooting weddings in the Yarra Valley or just in the city. I always get excited when there are new venues, which is such a contrast, because couples often ask, oh, have you shot at our venue before? And it's almost like for them a plus if you have, because you know it. But for me, it's a negative because you get a little bit lazy because you know what looks good and what works. Well, if you shoot somewhere for the first time, you're excited because you're like, oh, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
So I think it's just
inspiration or
got to switch on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so obviously with the wedding industry, like hospitality and travel with COVID, everything's kind of come to this complete stop. Thankfully now we're starting to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But specifically, how did like lockdown and all these events like affect your business?
It's had so many different waves. When it first started, like I was definitely in denial. Like when the phone calls started coming in and couples were like, "Oh, look, we might be postponing. It might not happen." I was like, "Nah, look, that's worst case scenario. Worst case scenario." I think I spoke to one couple, and like they practically said, "We're going to postpone or cancel." And then I think I ended the phone call by saying, "Look, best case scenario, we'll see you, come April next, April." And then I hung up the phone and I'm like, I really don't think that's going to happen. So first there was denial, and then there was a week and a half where it was just phone. I was on the phone all week, just postponing. We're thinking of cancelling, and that was pretty demoralising. Because you see your business, because I was just on such a high, and like March is always such a busy month, and you're getting some really good inquiries. Because I think it's a business that's built a lot on momentum. Like if you just stop working and you stop showing your face for 6 months, you're almost like out of sight, out of mind. You need to sort of keep going. Yeah. And when things just started to stop, and not even just stop, regress, it was pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
And then like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I just was in acceptance mode. Like, okay, I'm not working.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use this time to make the most of it and do just update the website and do all the back end stuff that I never have time to do. And like, it is what it is. Like if I've got a business at the end of this, great, whatever. Like there's still jobs booked that should get me by. And hopefully things will start rolling again.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, things changed, I think, pretty drastically, maybe only about 4 or 5 days ago. Like when restrictions started easing, the inquiries started coming again. Like I made a post today, which I booked a job just on the weekend, and I just had a client meeting tonight, which is slowly getting back into my routine. But before that, I literally had no inquiries for like a month, which is very rare because I probably get an inquiry maybe on the daily basis.
Yeah.
I even sent myself like an email through my website just to make sure. I was like, maybe something's wrong. It's not me. It's not me. It's like, no, it's just dead. It's just dead. So yeah, I think things are definitely looking positive.
But you're normally booked out like a year to a year and a half advance, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I think I've got weddings like November, December 2021, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really,
and it's a little bit sad because I had a couple. I don't usually shoot overseas because sometimes it's more hassle than what it's worth. But I had one job booked overseas that pulled the pin. And then I had a really good inquiry to shoot a wedding in Florence in Italy. And then COVID happened, and then they just put everything on hold. So I was like, but things are looking good now. So that's
things definitely to pick up slowly, and we can get together in small groups. And
so it's good. Like if you've been able to use it as a positive, I think it's been okay.
Yeah.
Despite the emotional roller coaster that's come with it.
That kind of leads on to actually something else I was going to ask you. Do you think sort of the psychology of the wedding industry and maybe the arts industry, do you think that's sort of changing because of what's happened with COVID going forward?
It's so hard to say. Like a few weeks ago in my head, I was really wanting to push smaller elopement style weddings. And I personally love them even before COVID. They're just awesome. They're just so intimate. when there's only like 5 people at the wedding and you're the 6th person, you become such a big part of the day. Well, if you have such a massive wedding, sometimes you're just there just to document things, and maybe you don't even have time to gel with the couple properly, which sometimes is a good thing because they're just so wrapped up on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just, I feel like people with weddings, I feel like people just want that sort of big party aspect. And the whole social distancing thing makes it extremely hard.
It does, yeah. Do you think you've kind of drawn any insights from this time? So, you know, sort of through lockdown and your business getting quite quiet and having some time at home, do you think you sort of got any insights from this that you could pass on to other artists or photographers?
That's a tricky one. I think just evaluating what's important. I think I've just really, sometimes you just get in a routine and that's great. Like I love routine, and sometimes it can be a little bit fast paced, but just having things slow down a little bit has been so nice. And I think I'm going to miss it a little bit. As much as I love being busy and all that, but yeah, just maybe see if you have picked up a bit of a routine. And like for me, I've been doing a fair bit of jogging and a fair bit of cycling. Like I'd love to be able to continue to implement that in my routine, because before you just didn't have the time. Yeah. Well, now like it's a nice sunny day, you call up a friend and you know you can go for a 2-3 hour bike ride and just enjoy. While before, yeah, I think just evaluating what's important and maybe sort of just trimming things down so you can just have something that's a little bit more balanced.
I'm desperate to hold on to that. Like when I moved from Melbourne to Perth, my vision was of a nice, slow, quiet lifestyle where you do go for 2 or 3 hour bike rides with your friends and go hang out at the beach all afternoon. But running your own business is not, and renovating and all that jazz, life just doesn't work out like that. So I do get up, not as early as you, but I do get up early and I just go straight into work, and then I'm sort of done by 12, but then I got to get into housework and renovating and all that stuff. So, you know, and then I'm sketching at night till about 10 or 11 o'clock. So, you know, my day is pretty jam-packed, and I'm really hoping it's not going to go back to that craziness, because between murals and portrait work and exhibitions and markets, there's a lot going on. And I really, having had sort of that whole external side cut out, not that I would cut it out completely because it's quite vital to the balance of my practice, but I really don't want to lose this lovely quiet time that we've had. Like my husband and I have dreamed of working together since we got married, and we've been trying to find a way to make it work. And he used to work at a company where he could work from home 1 day a week. So that was our 1 day a week. I'd be in the studio and we share this huge space together, and it's lovely. But then he got a new job, and I haven't seen him for a year. And now all of a sudden he's working from home, and he's going to be working from home at least till probably November. So it's lovely. We've actually got this whole year where we're together every single day. And I just don't know how that's going to change next year. I've got this feeling it's all going to go back to the way it was. And we're going to be hectic, and I'm going to be catching up on murals, because it's hard to say no when you've been out of work for a while as well. But then I don't want to let go of this lovely quiet life that we've got. We're getting by, and I don't like the idea of going back to hectic.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point, and maybe it is just a fairy tale that we can hang on to this.
Hold on to it.
Like you sort of can't, because it's true. You need to work, and we sort of need to make up on what's been lost.
Yeah. And we want to travel when these travel restrictions are up. We've been dying to go to Italy for a long time. I've never been. I've lived in Europe, and I still haven't been to Italy or France. You know, and I want to see a Monet. Well, I've seen a Monet in exhibition, but I haven't seen the lilies. I want to go see them. And all right, I'll let you go, and we'll probably cross paths next year sometime. I'm sure.